started, I was about 12 years old. Same reason most stupid little kids start. Image. To be perfectly honest, it seemed like the cool thing to do.
I was 11 years old. My brother gave them to me, and all I did was I just got dizzy. That's it. I didn't throw up or nothing.
No, it was when I was 16 and one of my best friends decided I needed to try it, so I tried it, and I've never stumbled around so much in my life, and I stumbled around and fell down a bunch, and it was really weird, but I kept doing it after that. I don't know. He kept trying to influence me to get me to do it.
When I talk to teenagers, I ask them, what happened the first time you took your first cigarette? And most of the time I get a response that they coughed. So I said to them, why did you continue? Well, because my peers were doing it and I don't want to feel like a failure in front of my peers, so they continue to do it until they like it.
I was about 13, and I didn't like it at first, but after a while I got used to it. It started sticking.
I was 15. My friends had cigarettes, so I was like, hey, let me have one. And the first time I got all dizzy, I had a head rush. I was like, but I don't know, and I didn't like it. Every time I smoked, it made me dizzy and nauseous.
In between 10 and 12, somewhere around there, I started smoking cigarettes, stealing them from my mom and going behind the house, you know.
Kids start smoking now around age 10, 11 is when they start experimenting with cigarettes. At that point, what they do is they start hiding and they start lying about the behavior because, you know, they know the parents are not going to accept it. So the relationship with the parent begins to break down.
Started smoking, it got really gross. Everything smelled like smoke, and I couldn't concentrate mentally on the things that I needed to be doing, and I was lying to my mother, and it just got me in a whole bunch of other trouble. Smoking leads to other drugs, harder drugs.
A lot of my friends smoke, a lot of the girls smoke, and parents catch them, you know, stuff like that. They get kicked out of their house. Next thing you know, they're looking for a place to stay, and you know, their grades start suffering because they're skipping school all the time. They have to work.
People that use tobacco products end up being sick a lot more often. They miss a lot more school. Their immune system is just not as good as those who don't use tobacco products. Let's say a female is on birth control pills and uses tobacco product. Unfortunately, they're at greater risk of developing blood clots, which can go anywhere.
I know people at my school who smoke cigarettes. They're either unhappy or depressed. But when they smoke cigarettes, they're even more unhappy and depressed.
That nicotine rush was kind of exciting for me, and after that I was just like, I think I'll quit after I stop getting this rush because there's no point. And then after the rush ended, I found myself still smoking, and that was like 6 years ago.
And when I try to quit, every time I'd have a cigarette, be like, ah, it's so good. So now, it's like I try to quit, and when I try to quit, that's when I start liking it.
I wake up, I want a cigarette. After I eat, I want a cigarette. After I have sex, gotta have a cigarette.
For many years that we had not accepted the fact that smoking was a true addiction. It is. Because of the nicotine component, smoking is an addiction. And before you know it, you are hooked.
I think I'm probably hooked. I've tried to quit before, but I've only gotten myself to cut down. I've never gotten myself to give it up completely. And I've always ended up picking it back up again later anyway.
You're always waiting, trying to see where you're going to get your next pack from, or who's got some, or until class is over so I can go out in the hallway or into the bathroom and smoke with them, or you're always trying to find someone who you would think would have some cigarettes so you can go bum one or something. And
back then it was cool, now it's just habit. You gotta deal with it. You gotta have cigarettes now. If you don't, you're gonna get sick. You get sick, man. I don't know, you start jonesing for cigarettes, you know?
My boyfriend, he smokes, and he used to pick me up for dates, and his car would reek of smoke, and then every time we got in the car, the first thing he would do, before we even started the engine, was pull out a cigarette. And he'd roll down the windows, but that wouldn't do anything. You know, the smoke would blow in my face and get all over my hair and make me reek of it and make me start coughing because I couldn't breathe with the smoke. And then his car reeked of it, his clothes, his hair, his breath.
Probably make my lungs black. I'm not a real believer in that they're going to kill me or anything. I mean, I think something else will probably get me before the cigarettes do.
It is a lifetime addiction, and if they use the tobacco product the way it's meant to be used, then it will end up killing them. And usually the form of death is very slow and very painful.
The problem that we do run into with trying to convince teenagers and young people to quit or never to start is that they don't feel it right now. I call it the ouch syndrome. You don't feel it. I don't smoke and it doesn't hurt me right now. It doesn't hurt in a lot of cases until further down the years.
You are putting over 4,000 chemicals into your mouth and you're inhaling them into your body. There is going to be an effect. Something is going to happen to your body. Besides breathing all those poisonous chemicals, there are 23 irritants that make people's eyes burn, they make them cough. Unfortunately, there are also 43 cancer-causing chemicals. So if you continue to smoke or use tobacco products over any time, any length of time, it's going to do some type of change in your body.
It totally affected my wind. I would just be so tired, I wouldn't even be able to like walk back and forth from class, and I would just be like taking naps during the day, and I would be like, this is the prime of my life. I'm like 21, 22, and I have to take naps during the day.
When you're in your prime, when you're ready to take on the world and its challenges, and then you find out I can't move as well as I used to. I'm slowing up. We forget about that. The smoking also affects the heart as well as the lungs. The smoking also affects other body organs just as bad as it does the lungs. We don't think about that. And sometimes it's a little too late.
I had a hard time because I was into cross country and soccer. One guy used to kill me in running, and started smoking and hanging out with people that smoke and drink and stuff like that. And he had to quit because, I mean, he couldn't make it but half a mile. He'd start coughing and choking and stuff. He had to quit.
If you take that first puff, which only takes about 7 seconds or less to hit your brain, it's telling your body it's under stress. Your heart automatically starts beating faster. So if you're an athlete and you take a puff of a cigarette before you run out and go play whatever sport you're playing, your heart is already up to its top heartbeat. So you're already at risk of a heart attack.
I used to think that only losers smoked cigarettes. And I was an athlete. I didn't need that stuff. I had a bad day and lost a race. Real bad. My parents jumped all over me for it. I didn't need that. I got depressed and started hanging out with the kids who smoked. I coughed like mad when I had that first puff. Then I got used to it.
Brenda was one of the best runners I'd ever seen. Then she started smoking cigarettes. I tried to tell her that smoking was for losers, but she didn't listen.
She used to be the #1 girl, #1 runner. She's fast, and she started smoking, and people started passing her, you know, and she gradually became the 4th, 5th, all the way down to the worst runner on the team, and you know, she couldn't run for anything. And after a while, she started to notice it was because of smoking, so she quit smoking. It helped. She raised right back up in the top runners.
I had to make a decision. Do I want to smoke, or do I want to be an athlete? Duh.
We concentrate a lot on the lung effects of smoking, which is a big part of it, but it also damages the heart. The heart of a smoker is enlarged, it's overworked, as opposed to someone that doesn't smoke. It decreases your oxygen carrying capacity. Women, for instance, they have a tendency to wrinkle more so than women that don't smoke.
I used to think it is very cool to smoke, and that was my oxygen, till I came down with a very bad heart attack, and they found that I had 4 blocked arteries, 99%. And they explained to me that it was a very big operation and that I had to have a quadruple bypass. They took the veins of my legs and put it in my heart so I can get oxygen. As before I had this operation, I couldn't even breathe or walk more than 6 yards. The pain was so excruciating that I wanted to die, and I regret that I ever put a cigarette in my mouth.
The question is if I start smoking today and there is damage, will it reverse itself? No. What you do is you learn to live your life with the damage.
Moving on to the spit tobacco, as we call it instead of smokeless, because that sounds like it's safer than cigarettes, and in actuality it's not. And you would ask students, had they ever tried this stuff? This is jerky chew. Before this, they had little bubble gum that came in the same size, and it used to be displayed. All of these are the same size, the real tobacco and the not tobacco. And they used to put all of these side by side. So if a younger student bought the bubble gum, like kindergarten, that was a real big thing with kindergarten, we were looking at like 50 cents. Then when they get into about 3rd grade, we were looking at this, all this is shredded up beef jerky. And it's like 99 cents. So you can start seeing an increase in the money spent on this stuff. A little bit later, when they're about 6th grade, this stuff is called Skull Bandits. And this comes in different flavors. They all smell real good. And it's a little bag of tobacco. And this is meant to be the size of a child's mouth. It's not meant to be in an adult's mouth. And there's just enough tobacco in this that it teaches kids how to use it. And it even comes with instructions like it says 1, 2, 3. It's easy as 1, 2, 3. This is how you use it. So this is like a little training product. And also you can use this in your upper lip where you don't have to spit as often, so you can suck on it through school and your teacher won't know.
I go to a school where a bunch of kids, and they're all into that smokeless tobacco. They get started, I guess, off their grandparents or their dad. I've even seen them chew smokeless tobacco during class, and I don't know what the deal is.
This spit tobacco is actually a progression in activity, and the next step is the Skull Long Cuts is very popular. And basically, this comes in cherry flavor, so they know youth really like cherry stuff, and it smells wonderful. It smells like cough drops, like cherry cough drops. But this is made where it sticks together real well. A child will take a wad of it or a quid of it and stick it inside in between their cheek and gums. And actually, the nicotine, even though this does not have as many chemicals as cigarettes, it doesn't have 4,000, it has about half that, about 2,500. There's more nicotine and more cancer-causing chemicals in this stuff. So dentists, anyone that sees someone using spit tobacco, this stuff, can tell real early they're using it because there's already a change in your mouth. You'll start to get those white sores. In fact, any dipper knows they constantly have little sores in their mouth. And that's because this stuff has a lot of plastic in it, so that it does cut and aggravate your mouth so that you can absorb this nicotine faster. However, the absorption of this is only for about 30 minutes, and then usually they'll spit the stuff out. Because after 30 minutes, you're not getting that good little buzz that you want from it.
We got some friends that chewing tobacco. They used to have to go back behind the school, and then to the point when we got a new principal and they could just spit it on the ground, you know, they'd chew and spit on the floor, and it's pretty messed up.
Then you get into the most powerful, most nicotine level tobacco product there is, and this is unfortunately what a lot of high school users, in fact this is what they call a real man chew. Copenhagen is very fine, very small grains, and it's very hard to dip with. So this is why no one starts immediately with Copenhagen. They go through these little steps. This has, again, more nicotine in it than any other product. It absorbs faster. It's more like 5 packs of cigarettes, equivalent to chemicals and nicotine. And so those who are using Copenhagen are highly addicted to this stuff. In fact, my daughter was dating a guy that was using Copenhagen, and she really wanted him to quit. So she decided she would just pour all kinds of stuff into this product, and hopefully it would just really turn him off or make him sick. So her girlfriends and her, they spit in it, they put perfume in it, they put dirt in it, they put all this stuff in it, and he actually dipped the whole can and never even noticed. So Anyway, so you can tell they're not doing it for the flavor.
If you see people when they're older and they smoke all of their life, it's pretty nasty. I mean, they look like they're 60 when they're probably only about 40.
When we start to smoke, we are all so very sure of ourselves that, oh, 1 or 2 cigarettes won't harm us. It starts like that. 1, 2, then 5, then 10, then 20. In a week or 2 weeks or a month or 2 months, it goes up to unlimited, whatever you can smoke till you go to sleep. You're still with a cigarette in your hand. Otherwise, you start to shake.
All you do is end up losing a lot of energy. You just your breath smells, your hand smells, your clothes smell. You're just walking around tired and coughing all the time, and that's in your youth. And when you grow up, it just builds up and adds up, and you just end up, I don't know, being at risk to all these different sorts of heart diseases and lung diseases.
It's so much better not having that worry, like, where's it going to come from, or who's watching me, and when am I going to get my next one? And it's just so much better being out of that hole that you dug for yourself in the first place.
It's not worth it, you know. I spend about almost $5 a day on cigarettes that could be going towards food or something, you know. But
stopped hanging around those people, the ones that smoke, and all of a sudden, you know, got healthier, made varsity in 4 different sports.
If it's to be cool to smoke, I'm not cool then, because I'd rather be into stuff like architecture and concerts, you know, having a good time without smoking. Just don't need it. Don't have to worry about it.
I don't think it's cool. That's what guys think. Guys are like, oh, I smoke, some bad girl's gonna like me. But no, we don't. We really don't like guys who smoke at all. It's not cool. They're hurting their body, and it's abusive, and that's all they think about. Oh, I need to go smoke. Oh, I need to get high. That's just not right.
Don't let the people around you influence you, you know? I mean, that's the big thing. Is most people I know smoke because someone gave them a cigarette at some point. I mean, I would say almost everybody. And if you don't start, then you never have to stop.